All right, so we are here, and this is the very first interview. I'm not even going to say this is like a podcast. I'm just going to say I'm going to interview some really amazing people that happen to be mortgage loan officers in the business. And I'm here with my man Jeff Vilk, who is one of Philadelphia's finest. So what's up, man?
What's going on, Tom?
And I'm just excited to be doing this video with you. We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks and we're here. So like, let's do it.
Let's go.
All right. So I need an intro. Like I need to know a little bit about you. What's going on, man?
A little bit about me. I live in Huntington Valley, Montgomery County. Been working in Philly and the burbs most of my career. Got two young kids.
How long have you been in the mortgage business?
I think it's like 15 years now. It's hard to say.
So how long have I known you? Probably 10.
At least 10, yeah. Goes back like 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. It took us 10 years to actually get back to working together again.
Correct. That's how small this industry is.
That's pretty cool, man. It's good to be back on your team. So anyway, man, you were doing your intro. Don't let me interrupt.
No worries. I got two young kids. I got a 4-year-old son, 2-year-old daughter, beautiful wife. Those are the people that keep me going in this industry, given some of the demands that this industry can do on you. So, and I've been known as a first-time homebuyer specialist. Seem to be, one of Philly's best, as you said. When it comes to first-time homebuyers, I'm usually the name that comes up first.
That's for sure. Like I feel like I can't go on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn without like you promoting something that's going to like help the world out in terms of buying a house, whether it's grants or some sort of financial aid or financial literacy that you're coaching. You're just all over the place as it relates to just serving the needs of the first-time homebuyer community. And I value that, man. I thank you for doing that because there's a lot of people in this business that overlook that segment, and it's a huge part of what we do.
It definitely is. I mean, there's definitely no greater feeling than helping somebody that otherwise wouldn't have qualified for a home. Because you can go to a couple of different lenders and they might all tell you don't qualify because they might not know or want to know grants are available or programs are available to help. It's one of the best feelings if I help a single parent with children. They want to buy their home, they want to provide a better life for their kids, their family. And when I get that follow-up after closing for a borrower that otherwise would not have qualified without the grants that were provided, I can't think of a better feeling. I help a lot of people purchase homes. I'm thankful to help everybody, but the ones that hit the closest to home are the ones where people are just trying to do it right, need a little bit of help, and looking for that person to help them. And unfortunately, there's a lot of loan officers in the community that might not necessarily know, or again, don't understand those products or grants. So it's, kind of one of those things that keep me going in this industry.
Yeah, we got to dive into some of this too, because we talk about these products and grants. And, what I'd like to do is use this video as an opportunity for someone to learn a thing or two about that. I have seen that you have posted some content where you have people buying homes and they're getting cash back at closing. And I need you to tell me more about that.
So I wouldn't let the cash back at closing cloud you like you're getting money to purchase a home. But what it really shows is there was so little money that was required of you that you put too much money into the deal that you're getting money back. So when some people learn, like when you're purchasing a home, one of the things you're going to have to do is give a deposit on the contract. So you're going to have to give an amount of money for the seller to hold, basically, technically the seller's title company, whoever. But for that person, that first time home buyer that doesn't have 20, 30, 40, 50,000 in the bank, you might only have a couple thousand. they might ask you to put a $2,000 deposit, but after all is said and done, and the grants are provided, if you get a seller's assist, there might be so much assistance that was provided to this borrower that, well, now you got to get some of that money back because there's nowhere for it to go. And those are definitely ones I have to post because I have to make sure people know that they're not disqualified from purchasing a home, because the most common misconception, I think everybody will agree, is you need a large down payment, and everybody's stuck on that 20% down. So I just have to keep, hammering the, nail on the head, saying you can buy a house with little out of pocket. You need to have reserves. I recommend everybody save money, but I feel like it's my job to make sure people understand that just because you don't have a lot of money or a large down payment, you're not disqualified from purchasing a home. There's programs out there that'll help you. And I think I do got to give a shout out to Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency. I mean, they came out with the product. When I first heard about it, the realtor that told me, I was like, you absolutely have that incorrect. There's no way they're coming out with what you're telling me. Because what they're providing is 5% with no limit and no repayment if you, have the house for 10 years. 5% of a payment for a $200,000 house, that's $10,000. It's a lot of money in the down, for the purchase of a home. So I give them a lot of credit for what they did, and they're coming out with another one to help people even with rehabbing homes. So, and again, it's, if you know the product, it's great. Just got to be careful. You got to find the right loan officer to do it. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with PHFA, and I know that they got some incredible offerings. And I will say that there's not many lenders that are truly experts in that type of product set. Mm-hmm. All right, so we know PHFA is out there. What programs should people look into with PHFA if they got little to no money down?
K-Fit, that's the one. That's the program right now. So K-Fit is the one. It could be a conventional, it could be FHA, depending on your credit score and scenario. But that's the one that's giving you the 5% with no repayment, if you have the house for 10 years. And just so you know what that stands for, K-Fit's easy to understand because the FIT is forgiven in 10. So it's forgiven after 10 years, 10% is forgiven every year. So if you borrow, if they give you 10,000, every year, $1,000 is forgiven for 10 years, unless you sell the property or refinance the property.
Got it.
That's the one. That's the product right now. If you're buying in Philadelphia, Philadelphia is about to launch a $10,000, like up to 6%, $10,000 Philly First Home Grant. So it took a hiatus for like 2 years, but that's coming back now, I think at the end of the month. Nice. You got to know it's out there. You got to know how to do the counseling for it. The lender has to understand how to use it, how to stack it. So stacking it obviously means like you can use multiple grants together. You just got to make sure how to put them together properly.
Really?
That's going to be a game changer for people that are looking in Philadelphia.
So you're telling me that a first-time home buyer can take advantage of a K-Fit program where they could get a grant as much as $10,000, and they might be able to stack that up against some other first-time home buyer grants so that they can have an even larger down payment that is funded by grants?
Correct. That's going to be a game changer. The income limit is high on both products. Because again, the misconception is when it comes to grants is even realtors will say, they think income has to be very low, which means the housing price you're going to qualify for is very low. And again, a realtor might not want to deal with it. The lender might not want to deal with it. But the income limit in Philadelphia for a 2-person household is $115,000 for the household. 3 to 4 person, which means if you have kids, $135,000. For Philadelphia, that's a large amount of money. And similarly for the Philly First Home Grant, it's very high. So, you can have a good borrower, a really good borrower, still be eligible for both products.
So if you have a family in Philadelphia of 4 making it less than $135,000, they could be eligible for these grants where they could effectively purchase a property with almost no money out of pocket.
Correct. PHFA requires $1,000 or 1%. That's the requirement that you have to contribute. So $200,000 house, you need to have $1,000 of your own money in the deal. And with somewhere in the deal, you have to have $1,000 no matter what.
And with income at $135,000 a year, we're not talking $150,000 home. We're talking, over $300,000 in purchasing power, utilizing grants through programs like K-Fit, through the PHFA, and potentially stack up additional grants on top of that.
Correct.
So
It's,
who should get this video? Like, who would you recommend this video get out to?
I mean, ideally, housing counselors, because they see the most first-time home buyers at the right stage of the game. A lot of people that apply, they've already kind of like, done the research, they're ready to make an offer. But the reason that all these grants and programs, they require housing counseling is because they want to make sure that you understand what you're getting into. If you're not properly educated on home ownership, financing, and budgeting, you can get in trouble real quick. In previous life, I was more involved in the statistics of like what happens, for example, you purchase a home and the water heater breaks. There's no landlord you're calling. If your window cracks, if your roof starts leaking, you're not calling a landlord, hey, you need to come fix this. You are the landlord now. You're responsible for all of it. So even though you could be buying a house with little, no money out of pocket, and they don't require you to have a reserve, which means money in the bank after you purchase the home. Well, now you own the home. Now you got to be careful because if something happens, what are you going to draw from if you don't have any savings? So the housing organizations do a wonderful job explaining how to do budgeting, how to look at your overall lifestyle, how to save money on, how much expenses you have going out. So I would recommend, housing organizations get it. I do a lot of speaking at housing organizations to talk about first-time home buyers programs, what's required, so that they can properly match it up to a borrower to explain to them, listen, this is where you are now, how to help them with their credit, how to help them with their savings. I do work with the Philadelphia Housing Authority. So people that were previously Section 8 tenants, so they were getting a government subsidy for rent, and now they're able to buy a home. They have the credit, they have the job. Now they're able to buy a home. I mean, it's a great feeling. They're able to use a housing voucher to help them. But again, some lenders would hear the word housing voucher and just say, I don't know what you're talking about. You can't use that as income, because they just don't know. So that's why it's critical. You have to work with the right lender. I'm sorry, you know what? You have to work with the right loan officer. Forget lender. Don't look at a bank as you got to worry about the bank. You need to worry about the person that does the application. You could have two loan officers at the same institution. One might deny you and one might approve you. And it's all just a matter of what they know. So if you don't know how to get into the credit, if you don't know how to get into the assets, the income, I mean, it becomes a problem. There's questions I ask that most loan officers don't even know to ask. I look at a bank statement when you're doing grants. I look for consistency of deposits, not necessarily your income, but if you're paying somebody specifically or you're receiving money specifically, that could qualify or disqualify you, because now you might have an obligation that most programs don't care about, the grants do. So it can get really specific. So I do also preach that the most. Don't pay attention to who the lender is, pay attention to who the loan officer is. And if they're not asking you questions, they're not the right loan officer for you.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll second that. I think, I can't think of too many that are more in tune with what's happening in this first-time homebuyer grant space than you. I do want to switch gears a little bit. We talked a little bit about, getting some counseling, better understanding budgeting, and how to manage a home after you purchase it. You're giving your clients the ability to purchase homes using a lot of these products and grants, and it allows them to actually save money so that they can actually handle maybe some future maintenance down the road. But what I want to talk about is the wealth side of this, when you actually own a home, and how that can just drastically change, your financial situation. And,
Absolutely.
I know home values have gone up substantially over the last few years. And, I'd love for you to speak a little bit about that. Maybe, how has owning a home impacted the lives of some of your clients?
Great question. I mean, there's a couple things I would highlight about that in terms of home ownership when you're talking about a first-time home buyer. I only say that because it might be the only vehicle where I consider it almost like a forced savings account. Because obviously when you're making your mortgage payment, there's a portion going towards interest, but there's also a portion going to principal to paying down the debt so that you have more equity in the property. Having equity in something, which means it could be a vehicle where, say you retire, you either want to leave it to your kids or you want to sell it, cash out of it. And now you have money that, comparable to rent, you'd have nothing. So you could rent your entire life And at the end of it, you're not going to have any value in anything. If you own a property, that's why you'll see that, one of the biggest questions I get asked is they'll say, like, can I put my kid on title? Because the goal is, you can already tell somebody that might be later in life, they're already thinking like, I'm buying this house and I want to make sure this goes to my kids, and what's the easiest way to do it? So because they know it's a vehicle it's going to give them some kind of value, some kind of jump start, I guess. Because if the child decides to either move into the property, they decide to sell the property, that you're giving them something of value. Where otherwise, if you look at a person's, the average savings in America, it's really difficult. If you're paycheck to paycheck, it's really difficult to start stacking and investing, etc. So it gives a low to moderate income borrower a tool to actually save and have something towards the tail end. Let's say they want to retire, relocate, or move into downsize, etc. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've seen that settlement. The seller of that transaction is on the property for like 30 years, and they're just getting a large check cut to them. They bought the property, they paid it off or paid it down. And because, again, housing statistically increases, and they're just walking away with massive checks. So they're downsizing, leveraging it, and now they have just a chunk of money that they can do whatever they want with. And I don't know any rent program that's going to match that. So.
No, not at all. In fact, I just can't help but reflect on all those first-time home buyers that you worked with 2 years ago, and now they probably have equity in excess of $100,000 in the homes that they bought just 2 years ago. And you and I know the power of what equity in a home can do. I mean, that we can borrow against that equity. We can buy investment properties. We can really begin to change the trajectory of wealth where a non-homeowner would never have the chance to do that.
Correct. So, it would be impossible, because now you created an asset that you're going to live in the home anyway. You might as well have something of value. And we haven't even talked about, because of the Federal Housing Administration, you can do an FHA loan. I have God knows how many borrowers that bought 2-unit properties. They're not even technically paying their own rent. I mean, the rent they're collecting from the other unit is paying the mortgage. I mean, if you want to talk about putting yourself in a better financial position, I mean, a 2-unit or 3-unit, maybe even a 4-unit if you're lucky property, you're becoming a landlord. You're going from never owning a home to becoming a landlord, collecting rent, paying your obligation. I mean, the options are incredible. And the grant program, believe it or not, works on those programs as well. So you could stack grants, use an FHA loan, 3.5% down. You might end up, you're going to end up owning a property a little out of pocket, and it has cash flow for you. So,
man, I don't want to miss this, and I don't want anybody else to miss that either. What you just said is you have the ability to take advantage of some of these grant programs that will help you buy a 2, a 3, maybe even a 4-unit property. And just by sheer ownership, by you buying that property with little to no money down, because it has another unit, 2 or 3 attached to it, the rental income from those units could not only just make the mortgage payment, but potentially earn you an income.
Correct.
Like, I don't know why every non-homeowner wouldn't want to call you right now.
I think most of them already do. The only thing I will say is it's, one of the things I see posted the most on social media, especially when a realtor says, oh, grants are available, what's stopping you from buying a house today? And the number one response is always sometimes it's savings, but the biggest response is credit. Everybody says, how do you fix your credit? How do you fix your credit? And I'm going to tell you, from my experience, savings is, I think, directly correlated to your credit. Because if I look at an application before I pull credit and I see that they might have $100 in the bank, I can tell you what your credit is. Because there's a reason somebody has bad credit. It's not because they decide not to pay. It's a financial decision. I'm going to pay my rent, or I'm going to pay my life bills, or I'm going to pay my credit cards. And that's when I start seeing people getting more serious about cleaning up their credit, because now they know they want to buy a house. So it's good that it pushes them in the right direction, but that's where the financial literacy comes in. And that's one of those things that I've enjoyed most about doing mortgages, is helping people in all aspects. Because again, like when you're dealing with a professional, like an attorney, a CPA, all you're really doing is you're providing them the end product, because they've done all the legwork. They have the credit, they have the income, they have the assets. Everybody's throwing money at them. The thing I've enjoyed most is like, I see the impact I make on each individual that I help purchase a home. And there is no thank you letter, like a letter from a person that bought their first home when they didn't think they were going to be able to buy. I mean, there's nothing like it. I've also never really received that many thank yous from the borrowers that can go anywhere and do anything. But I mean, almost every single first time home buyer I've dealt with usually ends in tears, thank you letters, like, stay in touch. It's almost like you become part of their family.
No
You
doubt about
basically
it, man.
changed your life. So it's,
You absolutely are. I want to go back to what you said earlier. It's not the bank, it's not the product, it's the loan officer. I mean, man, it's you. Like, you are the one that are impacting those that need it the most. And you're making a difference, and you're changing the trajectory of somebody's wealth by providing them this knowledge base and access to these financial products, access to the financial literacy that you just love to provide. And I'll tell you, man, like, you are making a difference throughout Philadelphia and beyond. And I know you're going to continue to do that.
I'm certainly going to try.
Yeah.
I mean, the hardest part in this job is how Philadelphia has been changing. And it's like, sometimes the stress that's causing the person to want to move. Some people might be renting and living and they're happy where they are. Some of them, they're having kids and they're like, I can't be here anymore. I can't stay here anymore. I mean, I've closed loans where the borrowers were under such direct, I mean, I can't even repeat, like, the living conditions that they're in. The landlords have just let the house completely get dilapidated. Sheriffs knocking on the door, which obviously you're not going to get any notice of. You got 30 days, you need to get out, period. And to no fault of the tenant, of the borrower. So, I mean, that's where, I think that's the part that gets me the most rejuvenated, not motivated, but rejuvenated when the deal, pipeline gets tough, a lot of files, have a lot of moving parts, and things get, difficult. You just remind yourself of the families you're helping literally save their lives to put them in a better position. I mean, of the conversation I've had with other LOs, I've never heard anybody talk about it. And I think that's one of the things that are missing. When I even tell another LO that's working on a first-time home buyer and said, I'll help you, I'll guide you through it. Like, no, you can do it. You can take it. I mean, that's how afraid people are of even like dealing with a first-time home buyer when they use the word down payment assistance. But that's why you'll always see me keep posting about these first-time home buyers and the grants. You're literally changing people's lives or saving their lives to get them into a better neighborhood. I've seen pictures with the violence that might happen outside their house. And when you hear them talking about their kids, because I know how I would talk about it if it was my kids. When I see, like, when I have conversations like that, and I just picture, what if I had to do that with my child, with my son and my daughter, and I hear there's shootings outside, robberies outside, vandalism outside. I mean, the carjacking running rampant. I mean, if you have the opportunity to help that person, you understand that you put more pressure on yourself. Like, I have to deliver to this person no matter what. And if you have to dig deep and really go through guidelines and really start selling to underwriting, et cetera, how we got to put this together and how to make it work. I mean, you're going to do like whatever it takes to get that deal done. So, and that's, I hope one of the things that if this video goes out there, maybe other loan officers will be more inspired to say, you know what, maybe I should learn how to do that product better. Maybe I should learn how to help people that otherwise get stepped over because the loan amount's not high enough. The commission's not going to be high enough. So,
dude,
sorry, that was wrong.
Oh man,
that kind of got me here on that one.
Dude, I felt it. Like, man, I love your passion. I love everything you represent in just serving the community, man. It's amazing, and I can tell you, people will really appreciate it. That's for sure. Yeah. All right, man. Switching gears one more time on you. Like, I want to know what the Vilk family is going to be doing. Just tell me what's going on over the next 3 months. You got 2 amazing kids, a beautiful wife. What do you got going on?
Well, now that COVID's kind of let up, it's nice to, when the weather gets nicer, to get back outside, seeing friends and family. I don't think we have any like family trips planned. Unfortunately, we had to cancel a couple last year because every time we thought we were going to get back out, COVID just was on the rise again. Trying to go down to Ocean City, Maryland, spend a week down there. Kids love playing in the sand. My daughter, from the last time we went, loved eating sand. That was fun. I was coming out of her for weeks. And, but like trying to enjoy the outside. I mean, love going to the park here. I love watching the kids play. I love watching my 2-year-old try to keep up with my son, who's 4. So like in her eyes, she's equal to him. So watching them play at the park and the playground, like whatever he's doing, she's got to do. I love watching that. Spending time with the family outside, barbecues,
It's good
that,
stuff,
that kind
man.
of stuff. I mean, we're all easygoing. It's going to places like trampoline parks, or like there's places for like kids to play in, like ball pits and all that kind of stuff.
You get in there too, don't you?
They warned me about it once. I didn't want to get thrown out of there, but they're like, "Ah, made for you." And I'm like, "Oh, fine." It looks like it's made for me. Just watching them. But that's, like I said, that's my pleasure. Like watching them enjoy themselves is definitely, like, to give one step back. I guess you would call me like the first generation here in America. So like when my mom came here with me and my brother, we definitely were raised differently the way my kids are getting raised. So it's kind of like you're watching them enjoy a life that my mom brought us here to enjoy. But obviously she came here single, as a single mom raising 2 kids. It was difficult. So it might be part of the, no, I don't want to say it might be, that's false. It's definitely one of the reasons why I'm more passionate about what I do. I see myself in these situations. So it's not like, again, you look at a first-time home buyer, you look at their kids and you're like, they're trying to do something better. And I look at it the same way. And that's why, like, I look at what we do and then what I'm able to provide my children. I mean, it's a great feeling. It's great watching them. It's definitely the best time of my morning and the best time of my night is just watching them. Just literally, they could be doing nothing and just running around in circles, making noise and just having a good time. And it's one of those reminders of like, that's how simple it could be, to just enjoy yourself. Like they just run around playing God knows what, throwing things around. I don't post it a lot. Everybody tells me I should. One of our number one activities in the evening time is I turn on Rocky and the kids just run in circles. So like, to pretend like they're training. And I'll never forget the first time they actually saw Rocky as a movie. They didn't understand. They just thought it was the song. And like I have a karate background. I trained to the same Rocky music for like 15 years, literally almost the same soundtrack. And then they were running to it like I taught them. And then when they finally saw it on TV, it was like jaw dropping because now they have a visual representation of what these songs were. So it's definitely one of my favorite things, is just to watch them run around in circles. And I'm definitely going to start getting more heavy on social media posting, like my daughter, my son, just running around in circles. It's being crazy.
So speaking of that, Jeff, how can somebody find you?
How can they find me? Besides social media, I think that's how everybody finds me, because one way or another, that's how most of my initial contacts start. Maybe at the end of the video, if we post something, you'll see, my phone number, email address, or Google me. I mean, literally, if you type in Jeffrey Vilk, mortgage guy, whatever, I've done it myself. It's got all my information on there.
Got it.
Google is a great way.
We'll get you tagged up, man. They'll find you. So, I'm just trying to put it all together here, man. And I'll do my best to wrap this up. But, just a phenomenal guy, phenomenal dad, superhero to the first-time homebuyer community. I don't know what drew you to that, but maybe it had something to do with your mom bringing you here as a first generation here in the United States. And look at you now, man. You are impacting hundreds and hundreds of lives, if not thousands, by what you do every day. And I just want to thank you for doing it, because it's exactly what we in our position need to get out there and do. We need to get out there and we need to talk about financial literacy, and we need to wrap our arms around our communities and get them into home ownership so that they too can benefit, from the wealth that can be achieved just through real estate. So
absolutely.
Yeah, you're crushing it, man. And I just want to thank you for being on this interview. And, I wish you the best of luck, man. I'm sure there's no doubt a lot of people are going to reach out to you for your expertise.
I hope so. It was a pleasure being the guinea pig on the first interview by Tom Nee.
Love it, dude.